Good evening, kindergarten families. My name is Jason Bialka. I am the principal of Shady Grove Elementary School, and I want to welcome you to our kindergarten overview meeting. The purpose of this presentation is two parts. Number one, to help you understand the registration process, and number two, to give you some tips and tricks for what you could be doing over the next 6, 7 months as your child prepares for their journey through the Wissahickon School District in their kindergarten experience. So, just a little bit about me. This is my fourth year as the principal of Shady Grove Elementary School, and I have been with the district since 2008. And I've worked in our middle school, our high school, and at our elementary school. So I have had the benefit of seeing our students K through 12, and I can't tell you how excited I am for them to begin on this journey. Um, Being able to see our students as middle school and high school students and now as kindergartners and to watch them progress through our system, Wissahickon is truly a special place. I'm originally from Chicago, so when I'm out here, everything feels a little bit different. But when I'm in Wissahickon, it feels like home, and I'm excited for your children to experience that as well. So, welcome. I wanted to start by talking a little bit about our kindergarten teaching team. So we have 6 kindergarten teachers this year, and the number of kindergarten or sections of kindergarten that we have is really dependent upon our enrollment. Over the past 5 years, our kindergarten enrollment has necessitated that we have 5 or 6 sections of kindergarten. So our team right now is 6 kindergarten teachers, all experienced kindergarten teachers, and this will be very much what our team will look like next year. There's always a chance that there's not 6 sections, there may be 5 sections, but most of this team should stay intact. Our school nursing team is a key part to your child's welcoming your child into the school system. And Mrs. Cifelli is with us 3 days a week, and Ms. Brown's with us 2 days a week. And every day there is a school nurse here on site. In addition to that, we sometimes have 2 nurses in our building. So I wanted to share some information as it relates to registration and it relates to health related concerns. So first, as a part of the registration process, we need a copy of your child's immunizations before they are admitted to school. Even if your child does not have all the required immunizations, you can submit what you have to register and then make a plan to complete what's missing before the first day of school. So while the registration process is now and you're going to want to submit everything you can, even if you don't have all the immunizations, that's okay. You can still submit and you can get those immunizations done in the spring or the summer. Just it needs to happen before the first day of school. The online registration process is also an opportunity to tell us any health conditions or concerns or any diagnoses for your child. And this will be how how we will communicate with you. If you let us know that your child has asthma, has a significant allergy, and you do share that, our nursing team is going to reach out to you. And then we can potentially talk about an emergency action plan based on your child's needs. A physical form and dental form are also a required part of the registration, and those forms are due by October 15th, so after the start of school. And the physical and dental exam can be completed anytime after July of 2022. That's not an accident, 2022, meaning that this past July, if your child has had a physical exam or a dental exam, that can be done between July of 2022 and October of 2023. So, I know a lot of families may struggle to be able to get a physical exam if they've already had one within the year. This allows for extra time for that. So July of last year to October of this year. But that needs to be submitted by October 15th. There are forms. So even if you already had this done, let's say your child had an exam in September of this year, you could just get your doctor or your dentist to fill out the form. You don't need to actually go through the process of getting the examination, but they could fill that out and you may submit that. In terms of the screenings we do here at school, we do basic screenings each year: vision, height, and weight. And hearing is tested in kindergarten through 3rd grade. If for some reason there was a follow-up needed based on a hearing or vision screening, we would contact you, our school nursing team, to make a recommendation that you would see an outside physician. Finally, there's emergency contact information that'll be a part of the registration process. This is vital. Sometimes, we can't get a hold of a parent. We'll go through our first or second contacts. That emergency contact would be the next person that we would need to go to if there was some reason an emergency and you needed to be notified. So having that emergency contact information, you can add multiple people there. Those would be the extra people in case you're not available during the school day. We have two school counselors at Shady Grove, Mrs. Twyford and Mrs. Wolford, and our school counselors are a part of your child's education team. And they will be working with your child through K through 5. So if they start out with Mrs. Wolford in kindergarten, they would be with Mrs. Wolford in first grade, second grade, third grade, and so forth. So this helps us to provide, some stability to your child's experience here at school while they'll rotate teachers. Obviously, from year to year, having that counselor is a person that they know and develop a relationship with is a key component to your child's success. So if there's ever any concerns, you obviously can reach out to your child's teacher, your child's counselor. I'm a part of that team as well, but these are really vital people that are there to help support your child. So the registration process starts online, and you can go to the website right there. If you're seeing this, you're probably already on that part of the website. So, but the first step is to email the registrar, and you request a pre-registration questionnaire, and that begins the registration process. Um, you would want to complete all of that by March 3rd, so about 2 months, a little bit under 2 months. And the reason for that is we start the second step, which is our kindergarten readiness interview. All the children that are registered by that first week of March, we will send an email out to parents with a sign up to sign up for a kindergarten readiness interview that would take place at Shady Grove during our school day. It's a great way to welcome your child into our building and welcome you as well. And it's a 15-minute interview with your child where we ask them questions, they talk about numbers, letters, colors, and we use that information to plan for the year. And I understand it's March and April, and a lot will happen between then and the start of the school year. But this is just our initial information that we're able to use so we can start best planning for the needs of your child. So that sign up will be sent out after registration is completed on March 3rd. So after you register, you'll get access to that sign up. Our school website can be translated in any language. As you can see there at the bottom, it says translate website there in the bottom right hand corner. So if there is a need and you have to um, have another language other than English as your preferred language, you can always hit the translate website button and it'll translate it to the language of your choice. In addition to the website, we use an interpretation service called TransPerfect. We can call home in any language. We will know your preferred language. There's an option for you to share that. So if it's Spanish, Korean, Mandarin, we can make a phone call to you in your home language or your preferred language or whatever language is spoken in the home. So communication can take place obviously in written form, but also over the phone. Infinite Campus is going to be a key in your child's education communication piece over the next 12 years from kindergarten through senior year of high school. And during registration, you're going to create an account. And Infinite Campus is where you'll find out attendance. You can see attendance records, report cards, health information, your teacher assignment when it comes time in August for that to be released. So you want to make sure that any adult in your household who is going to be needing to see those records has an Infinite Campus account. There'll be steps in the registration process for how to sign up for Infinite Campus. We will use that information as well this spring to send out a parent input form to ask you for some input about your child. So it is vital that you're creating that account in Infinite Campus. And like I said, report cards, teacher assignments, all of that is listed in Infinite Campus. There is no separate communication regarding that. We have 3 reading specialists that work at Shady Grove, Ms. Shields, Dr. Fedora, Mrs. Shannon, and they are a part of our team as well. 3 times a year, our reading specialists work together to assess our child's reading needs, and we do a lot of our instruction based on the information that we're able to gather from our reading specialists. Our reading specialists also work with small groups of students. While your child's in language arts, they'll be doing small group reading. Some of the small group reading takes place with our teacher. Some of the small group reading takes place with a reading specialist. So our reading specialist would contact you if they would be meeting with your child in a small group reading setting, but it really is another member of our team to be there to help ensure that we're meeting the needs of all of our children. Our reading specialist came up with this list, and this is just some things you could be doing now to help prepare your child for kindergarten as it relates to reading. Number one is just reading to your child, thinking about a bedtime reading. It's a nice way to bond with your child, but also kind of get them into the reading process and seeing what it looks like. They don't necessarily need to be doing any reading. You can be reading to them, but pointing your finger at the book and showing them the words as you're doing it is often a way for them to understand just the basics of reading, moving left to right, top to bottom, and just being able to model that and see that. Um, while you're reading, pointing out how to hold a book, and also, like I said, where the words are that you're reading helps introduce them to that. So when it is time to come to school, they're familiar, at least with that piece of where the words go in the direction that they're going as they start that reading journey. You can also ask your child about what happened in the beginning, middle, and end of a story, or any questions in general about what you're reading with them or to them. Helps with reading comprehension and to see that they're following along with your story. Another piece is giving your children opportunities to draw without coloring books. A lot of the writing process here in kindergarten begins with your children, thinking about how we brainstorm as we are older students, jotting down ideas before writing something. Our kindergarten students will often make a drawing. So if we're asking them what happened this weekend, and let's say that it had snowed and they went sledding, they could draw a picture of that. They could draw the trees around them, the weather, the environment, their setting, draw their friends. And then when it's time to create sentences, they utilize that picture. So coloring books are obviously great for the coloring purposes, but the drawing part is about the creativity. And writing is a creative process as well, and they go hand in hand. Looking at uppercase and lowercase letters, it's very common for most of our students to come in with some knowledge of a few uppercase letters, but lowercase letters are often kind of set aside because we're focusing in on those traditional ABCs, which is normally in an uppercase letter. But if you're getting as you're familiarizing your child to look at lowercase letters as well, because some of them, as you know, look very, very different than an uppercase letter. Thinking of an example like the letter Q, the uppercase and the lowercase look very, very different. The letter D, very, very different. So having some exposure to that is helpful. And then the sounds of letters. Think about flashcards, showing them a picture of something that begins with an S, like the sun, and just sounding out that letter S. You don't need to blend the letters together to read a word, but just, there's the sun, recognizing S and that sound. Letter sounds are key. And when we get into, the reading process, we're focusing very much on the sounds. Finally, being a reading role model. So what does that look like? We know that our children imitate us. So finding ways to see that you're reading, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're reading a book in front of them for your own enjoyment. So this is separate from reading to them. If they do see you reading, that's great. But there's other ways. One of them could be just putting closed captions on a show, having words across the screen, reading some of those words, or if you're watching a commercial and the words across the screen, so they see us reading. You could be reading on your phone, on a tablet, doesn't always have to be a book, but our kids will learn from us and learn by, seeing what we do. So finding opportunities to see, for them to see you reading is a great strategy. Other ways, not necessarily reading specific. So these are tips that are submitted from our kindergarten team, the teaching team. So practice identifying writing numbers. Letters typically come first, numbers come second in a lot of households. In my own household and teaching my own children, my two boys, I noticed that we had neglected the numbers while we were working on our ABCs. So just a good reminder that numbers are important too. Looking at colors, identifying colors in a marker box or crayon box. Practice going through a buffet or salad bar. That's just many students, over 50% of our students, buy lunch here, and they get lunch on a tray. So they're carrying a lunch on a tray. For some of them, it could be the very first time. So obviously, buffets and salad bars are not super frequent, and maybe you don't go to those, but having your child just clear their plate from a kitchen table to a counter is important, or helping them to just carry food from one place to the next, because they're going to have to do that in the cafeteria, especially if they order lunch. And then if you're out at a restaurant, having your children place their order, as the waiter or waitress comes around, have the children asking for water, asking for food, because when they come to Shady Grove, and if they're buying their food, they're going to have 5 different options, and they're going to have to vocalize which option that they're interested in. So just a little bit of practice. Practicing opening a juice box, milk container, water bottle. All the lunches come with a little carton of milk. So just having that fine motor skills, and to practice how to open up a container like that. Going to a playground or park and using the equipment. Obviously, we have 3 playground areas at Shady Grove, and there's a variety of things from slides to different monkey bars that you can climb across. Just having your child experiment with some of that, play with some of that. So, we wouldn't want their first time to try to use the monkey bars be at Shady Grove. It's great to get that practice in ahead of time. Playing games and taking turns. We play a lot of games, a lot of them educationally oriented, but we notice that our youngest students are not always, in a setting with other students playing games where they need to understand that it's not their turn. They need to let others go first, or another, before it becomes their turn. So just that patience while waiting. And finally, all of these things are really about independence. Helping your child to independently zip their coat, unbuckle and buckle a seatbelt is very important. Putting on their shoes and gloves. These are all things that will happen at Shady Grove. And for some of them, every day for months. They're going to wear a jacket when the weather's colder. They're going to need to put on gloves. Tying shoes, I didn't put on here. Velcro's still great. You can work on the shoe tying, but for most of our kiddos in these ages, you can still utilize Velcro, and that's just fine. But zipping a coat, buckling a seatbelt, those are going to be things that they're going to be doing on a daily basis. And so just independence. And a lot of times I know with my own children, it was me wanting to do those things for them, give them the opportunity to do that. The Shady Grove Home and School Association, our HSA, is paramount. So these are our parents and guardians that really, their purpose is to, how do we support our students here at Shady Grove to make a wonderful experience for them? If you've ever driven by Shady Grove around the end of October, you will see Harvest Fest, which is a wonderful a community event where is organized by our home and school, where our kids will all come out. They're in costumes. There's games. There's dance parties in the gym. There are tons of events that our HSA helps to coordinate. In addition, they help on school improvement projects. We have a wonderful garden out front that produces literally thousands of vegetables that our students plant from seed, that they harvest, that we then distribute to different places. The Maddie Dixon food cupboard. Some of the vegetables that will grow, will bring down to our cafeteria and serve as side samples for kids that want to try it. So that has all been made possible through the school learning garden, through the HSA. And you'll see out of the back of Shady Grove, there's a brand new pavilion that your kids are going to experience with our kids for the very first, the current students for the very first time. So between fundraising, facilitating school clubs, assemblies, the HSA does it all. And everybody here can be a member of the Home and School Association. So look to get involved and find ways to be a part of that. And they will be at all our events to start the year, so you can see them and also ask questions of our Home and School Association. Getting near the end here, some beginning of the year information. Our kindergarten orientation is going to be held on August 24th. That's the week before school starts. I will send out more information this summer about the details. So that's just a 2-hour experience where your child comes in with the other children in their class, and they get to meet the teacher. They get to meet an encore teacher. They get a brief bus ride, and it really is student-centered. This orientation is not a parent orientation. This is really about trying to ensure your child has a smooth transition for their first day of school and hopefully to make sure that they're not too nervous about that day. Monday, August 28th is the first day of school, and the teaching assignments will be posted the week before school begins in Infinite Campus. Bus schedules, if your child's utilizing district transportation, will come out also about a week before school begins. And you can find that on the website, Find My Bus. You can just, if you're not sure how to find that, just you could search Google Wissahickon, Find My Bus, and it'll take you right to that site. It'll tell you where your bus stop is for pickup and drop off, the bus numbers, as well as the estimated bus times for pickup and drop off. Before and after care is available at Shady Grove. That is through the Ambler YMCA. While it is here at Shady Grove, and that before care is 7 o'clock till 8:10. 8:10 is the time that we admit students in. And then after care, 3:10 is our dismissal. The aftercare is available here till 6 p.m. So it used to be during the pandemic, there were more limited number of spaces. That is not limited anymore. So if you need that care, you can contact the Ambler YMCA to set that up. We at Shady Grove do not set up that care, so you would need to be in contact with the YMCA. Volunteering, if you plan to volunteer at school during the year, please look at the website. There are 3 clearances that you would need. The clearances are not necessary for all opportunities to come into school. So if you were going to come in, or a grandparent was going to come in to read a book to the class, you would not necessarily need your clearances to do so. The clearances are if you're going to be working with small groups of children, thinking about on a field trip, or we bring parent volunteers in kindergarten to come in with what we call kid writing. And that's just to help our students through the writing process. And our parents meet one-to-one with kids or in small groups with kids. Those require clearances where you're going to be working with kids. But there are other opportunities to still, see our children that don't always have to have the clearances. And I mentioned that just because, you might have, somebody that's important in the family that wants to come in and to participate or to read to the kids, but they don't necessarily get all their fingerprinting done or background history done. So we are still able to do certain things without all of those clearances. Every Shady Grove visitor, however, is scanned through our Raptor system. So that's just in addition to any clearances. Finally, a parent input form, once you complete registration, will be sent out to you all this spring, where you can tell us about your child, what their strengths are, what works best with them, and we can utilize that information. Our teachers will as they work with your child. So obviously this is a video recording, so there's no time for Q&A, but I do want to say that you may reach out to me at any time if you do have any questions. It could be questions about registration, Shady Grove in general, anything I can do to support you. Please do not hesitate to ask. Well, I look forward to meeting you all in person, and if you have anything that I can do to help your child's success, never hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.